Have you heard? NASA once spent millions developing a pen that could write in space, while the Russians just used pencils. Stay tuned. Hey, knowledge seekers, our feature story today tackles one of the most persistent myths about the space race. Now, you probably heard that NASA spent millions developing a fancy space pen, while the practical Russians just used pencils. It's a great story, but completely made up. It ain't true. The truth is, both Americans and Soviets initially used pencils in space, but they were actually quite dangerous. Why? Well, because broken pencil tips could float around, causing damage to equipment, or they could even be inhaled by astronauts. Plus, the wood and the graphite were flammable in the oxygen-rich environment of early spacecraft. The Fisher Space Pen was privately developed by Paul Fisher of the Fisher Pen Company without NASA funding. He invested $1 million of his own money before NASA purchased the pens at $2.95 each in 1967. The Soviets liked the pens so much they started buying them too. So the next time someone tells you this wasteful spending story, you can set the record straight faster than a rocket to the moon. Have you heard? May 5th marks Cinco de Mayo, but did you know it's not Mexican Independence Day? It actually commemorates the Mexican Army's victory over the French at the Battle of Puebla in 1862. While it's a relatively minor holiday in Mexico, primarily celebrated in the state of Puebla, it's become a major celebration of Mexican culture in the United States. The first American Cinco de Mayo celebrations began in California in the 1860s as a show of solidarity with Mexico against French occupation. The holiday gained widespread popularity in the U.S. during the 1980s when beer companies began promoting it as a marketing opportunity. And now you know the real story behind your tacos and margaritas. Have you heard? May 9th marks the birthday of the rubber duck. On this day, thank you, buddy, I got it from here. On this day in 1949, sculptor Peter Ganine patented the design for the now iconic bathtub toy. It was originally intended as a floating art piece. Ganine's creation became wildly popular, with over 50 million sold. The rubber duck gained international fame when it appeared on Sesame Street in 1970, with Ernie singing, "Rubber Ducky, you're the one," while taking a bath. In 2013, the rubber duck was inducted into the Toy Hall of Fame. What do you think about that, Kazoo? I thought you'd say something exactly like that. And it cemented its place in bathroom history. And that's something to quack about. Have you heard? May 11th is Mother's Day this year, or in the South, Mama's Day. But did you know this holiday has a somewhat controversial origin? Anna Jarvis founded Mother's Day in 1908 to honor her own mother, but later spent years fighting against its commercialization. It seems when Jarvis saw how florists, card companies, and confectioners were profiting from the holiday, she actually filed lawsuits to stop them and was even arrested for disturbing the peace at a Mother's Day event. She ultimately depleted her personal fortune fighting against the very holiday that she created. Today, Mother's Day is the third largest card-sending holiday in the United States and one of the biggest days for restaurant sales. Sorry, Anna. Have you heard? On May 6th, 1954, Roger Bannister became the first person to run a mile in under 4 minutes, breaking what many considered an impossible human barrier. The British medical student completed the mile in 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds at the Iffley Road Track in Oxford. Doctors had previously claimed that the human body was physically incapable of achieving this feat. Some even warned that the heart would explode from the effort. It didn't, though. Within just 46 days, Australian John Landy broke Bannister's record. Today, the world record stands at 3 minutes, 43.13 seconds, and it was set by a Moroccan runner in 1999. Talk about raising the bar. Have you heard? May 5th is National Hoagie Day. This beloved sandwich, also known as a sub, a hero, a grinder, all depending on where you live, has been filling American bellies since the early 20th century. It's also called a po' boy down south. The name Hoagie originated in Philadelphia, where Italian immigrants working at the Hog Island shipyard during World War I would bring massive sandwiches stuffed with meats, cheeses, and vegetables. These became known as Hog Island sandwiches. They were later shortened to Hoagies and eventually Hoagies. In 1992, the Hoagie was declared the official sandwich of Philadelphia. Now, that's a designation you can really sink your teeth into. Hey, if it's a clear night, I want you to look up at the sky on May the 10th for the spectacular flower moon. Native American tribes named the May full moon after the abundant flowers that bloom this time of year. This year's flower moon coincides with a celestial event known as lunar perigee, when the moon is closest to Earth in its orbit, making it appear slightly larger than usual. Astronomers call this a supermoon, though they often roll their eyes at the term. Last year's flower moon viewing party in Central Park had an unexpected visitor when a local florist showed up with 500 daisies, saying he thought it was some kind of flower competition. Yeah, when told it was actually about the moon, he replied, "Well, that explains why no one brought vases." Talk about a blooming misunderstanding. And that's all for today's edition of Have You Heard? Please leave a comment if you learned something mind-boggling. I'm Troy W. Hudson, the voiceover with personality. Until next time, stay curious.